Hi, this is Bud Terrell from My House Fitness Plano. Today we want to talk about food labels. So everything we buy, whether it's drinks or dinners or whatever we buy at the grocery store, everything has a food label on it. It's one of the most important things that we need to be using when we make our food choices, but yet it's probably something that most of us either don't use or we don't really understand. So today I just want to cover three important parts of that. So if you're going to look at anything in particular on the food label, these are three things to look for. The first would be your serving size. So all the labels, and if you don't know, it's on the back of all your products. Here's the label, and the first thing it always talks about is the serving size. So it gives you a lot of good information, but you have to understand what volume of that material is they're giving you the nutritional facts for. So for example, a lot of times it's like nuts, or chips. Like chips may say 8 chips, or nuts may say 14 nuts. So you just got to be very aware of what you're doing, because sometimes they make the data look really good by having a very small serving size, which is unrealistic. So for example, like a kid's cereal, Frosted Flakes, the serving size is 3/4 of a cup. I don't know about you, but I don't know how many people measure out and eat 3/4 of a cup worth of a cereal. So it's just something to be very aware of, because it may look to be low fat or low sugar, but then you realize you're eating 3 or 4 times what the recommended serving size is. The other thing is the ingredients. All of these labels will actually give you the ingredients on the label. Now they're in the order of the highest, the order of the ingredients is that the first one is the most prevalent in there, and so forth. So in the case of applesauce, luckily the first ingredient is apples. That's great. But one of the things you want to be looking for is just what other stuff is in there, such as artificial sweeteners or chemicals that you have no idea what they are or how long they are. But one thing to look for, like for example, with this applesauce, it took me a long time to find this applesauce. There was sweetened applesauce, cinnamon applesauce, and all that. And when you looked at the back of the label, apples was always the first thing, but the second ingredient was high fructose corn syrup. Why is high fructose corn syrup the second most used ingredient in this product? It's an artificial sweetener. It's not good for you. So it's very important to look at these and just make sure that you understand what's in there. We buy the unsweetened applesauce now because it just has apples and water. That's what you actually want. The other things you want to look at is your added sugar. Now, some things have natural sugar in them, such as dairy products and things like that. But when you look at the back of the labels, a lot of them now are actually listing added sugar as a separate line item. One of the big things is drinks. So, for example, if you go look at a bottle of Coke, one of those PET bottles of Coke, it had 65 grams of sugar in there. Now it's recommended that we have no more than 30 grams of sugar in a day, added sugar for our diets. So that had over double the amount of sugar in one drink. Even some simple things like a bottle of tea. One I found had 48 grams of sugar. And what was most shocking was something like vitamin water. It's a soft drink that you buy or a drink that you buy in the grocery store. A lot of people drink it when they're working out because they think it's vitamin water. It had 32 grams of sugar in there. It was basically sugar water. But to kind of put all of it together, I go back to the cereal. The serving size, 3/4 a cup, it has 10 grams of sugar for this 3/4 cup. Well, if you're having 2 or 3 of these, and that because you like to have a big bowl of cereal, guess what? You're racking up 30 grams of sugar. So once again, it's very important to understand, use the labels. That's what the manufacturers are required to give you, but use the labels to understand the nutritional facts, but look at the serving so you be sure you're getting the right, you fully understand what you're putting in your body. Look at the ingredients, see if there's any artificial sweeteners, how many chemicals are in there. You want the most natural products. And then also look for the added sugar, because that's really what a lot of us, that gets us in trouble. It gets us a lot of extra calories, and we get addicted to that. So these are three tips. We'll have more later. If you want to learn more about nutritional facts, feel free to give us a call. My House Fitness Plano, 972-468-9555. Thanks.